Hi, I'm Ali and I work for Electronic Navigation, New Zealand's premier marine electronics company. Over the course of the series, I aim to pass on as much information as I can to you to keep you up to date with the latest in electronics, but more importantly so you understand how to use your electronics to their full capacity. The focus of our interest is mostly going to be sounders. So what is a sounder and how exactly does it work? There are two main components to our sounder, the processor, or the brains if you like, usually found in the head unit we see on the dash, and then there's the transducer in the water. The processor will send an electronic pulse that when received by the transducer is turned into a sound wave. This sound wave travels through the water column at a constant speed of 1500 meters per second. If it hits an object, be it the seabed or a fish, it will then send a return echo back up to the transducer, and when received this is turned into an electronic pulse and sent back to the processor. Because sound travels through the water at a constant speed, the processor is able to give us the exact depth the echo is received from by the amount of time lapsed in between the signal being sent and the echo being received. Therefore, we're able to get the precise depth of the bottom and, more importantly, the fish beneath us. Next week, we'll be looking at frequencies and how understanding them can help you catch more fish.
Thanks, Sally. And a time where you really do need your sounders is when you're targeting big fish, and we're talking at the moment kingfish. And joining me on the show today is Simon Little. Simon, you've recently got into, well, kingfishing.
Yeah, I suppose in the last year or so I've got into it quite heavily, bought all the gear, splashed out.
So how did you get into it? What motivated you to start targeting those fish?
I saw an article in a fishing magazine down at the supermarket. I saw the glossy pictures and thought, oh, that's something I really want to get into. So I just pursued it and contacted a few guys in Nelson that were doing it, and they sort of led me down the right path. With
a good deal of success too, I might add. Simon's been kingfishing up on Deauville. Take a look at this footage. We'll talk you through it. Now, Simon, you're heading off early in the morning. Is that important? Yeah, sort of trying to catch the morning tide here. So, what sort of time are you heading away there? Right at daybreak. That particular day, we're left in the dark at about 4:30 in the morning. Now, what are these guys up to? That looks awfully rude. It's just a style of jigging we're doing. It's called mechanical jigging. So you've got to work the big, long, 300mm long knife jig through the water. So you're trying to get as much action out of it as possible. All right. So this is Dwayne. He's hooked onto a fish here, so he's probably just set the hook. Whoa. I mean, that must be the most fun you can have with your pants still on. It is, it is. So what these fish that you're catching, what sort of size are we talking about? 20 to sort of 22 kilo. So, holy moly. The biggest one so far has been about 80 pound, which is probably close to 40 kilos up there. So what's your personal best? You've been doing it for a year. Probably about 55 pound, I think, sort of 25 kilo. That's a good fish. Now that's Jean, he writes for the fishing papers, and I believe you get a lot of your information, early information from him. Yeah, he's quite willing to sort of divulge quite a bit of information. Yeah. So do you need specialist rods and reels for that sort of fishing? If you're going to really pursue it, I'd recommend it, but if you're going to give it a try, you'd probably get away with sort of a combo that might do both, you know, sort of normal fishing and jigging. Okay, and do these fish feed all day, or is there any particular time that you're targeting them? They probably feed more in the high tidal movement. So as soon as the tide changes, you can you sort of get back into them. But at like tide change, you go off and do your cod fishing and then come back at the change of tide again. All right, that's something that I'm really going to have to go. Is it something that only really good fishermen can do, or can anybody get into this? No, anybody can get into it. Yeah. It's just probably getting the technique down, but your technique doesn't have to be to the word. Like you can. I've actually heard it said that sometimes the guys that aren't good at the whoa, look at that! Is that? Geez, they got power there. They have that. I've heard that the guys that actually aren't that good with the technique sometimes catch more fish. Yeah, I've seen that as well. Yeah, all the bigger ones anyway. Yeah, it's a little bit more erratic. You'd agree with that, Lynsey, wouldn't you? Oh, definitely. Are these fish resident fish all year round, or is it a bit more seasonal? The bigger ones seem to hang around in the winter. Right. So you might catch the smaller ones during the summer. So it is better, probably more productive during the winter for bigger fishing? In that particular area, yeah. Right. Because in the summer they will head off to their spawning grounds. Ah. And so, braid, using braid on all that? Yep, sort of 50-pound braid plus. Yep. You'd need a good fluoro leader on there as well, because once you've hooked the fish, they tend to take you to the bottom. Yep. And they're called hoodlums, because they'll try and bust you off no matter what.
Yeah.
So that reel I'm using there it's got 30 pounds or 30 kilos of drag,
Yep.
and they can still pull line at that, and they'll try and scrub you off on the bottom.
Yeah.
So that when you first hook them up, you're trying to turn their head and get them off the bottom. That's half the battle won.
Well, it looks like an amazing action. If you haven't had the opportunity to have a go at these kingfish, then check out the latest copy of the fishing paper, and I'm sure you'll have it there. All right, doing it better with Hamils. Hamils supply us every week with some handy tips. Check this out. When filleting fish, it's important to have a workbench set at a comfortable height and a sharp filleting knife. Make the first cut behind the pectoral fin, angling the knife on a 45-degree angle toward the head. Now rotate your wrist so the knife is pointing back toward the tail, but still angled slightly down at the backbone. Cut right through to the tail, but leave the skin attached. Now flip the fillet and make a diagonal cut under the rib cage. From the tail, cut about a third the way along the fillet, cutting between the skin and flesh. Make an incision to split the fillet in two. Now tear the fillets from the skin, holding the skin firm and ripping in one fluid motion. Roll the fish over and repeat the process. You'll be left with 4 clean boneless fillets, and as you can see, the bones remain attached to the skin.